everybody. Welcome. My name is Matt. I'm here with Andrew. Today we're going to be talking about What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Leo's performance that was decades ahead of its time, and Johnny Depp's troubling apathy. So grab your popcorn and Reese's Pieces, and let's break it down on the Post Credit Podcast. Good person and all that, but I can be a jackass, I'm sure. So anyways, so today we're going to be talking about What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah.
This was a book, and that's why I asked you if you were a reader of things. Because it was a book originally. I'm assuming you've never read the book.
Yeah.
Because it's something you and I have never talked about.
No.
I've never read it either. I did very minimal research on the book when coming to talk about this because I just had no interest in reading that story as a book.
It doesn't seem like it's...
I thought it was so well done as a movie, I didn't feel the need to read it.
Well, then on top of that, it's not really that long of a story. They obviously dragged it out a little bit for the length of
and there's
film.
not really a story.
No,
it's more about the characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Characters and situations.
Yeah, it was just really... It could have seemed... You could have probably cut out a lot of that movie and just had like a short film. One of those short films that are 30 minutes long or something like that. I feel like there's just a lot that you could have cut out that really was just... the random scenes of him working in the grocery store, just, it'd pan out to him just slowly bagging, just showing how terrible his life is, but it was like real random stuff, showing him that. And then, you'd think they'd figure out a way to lock that darn water tower down so people can't. No, that
I was like, and we're going to get into that. But, this is one of these things like it's not really a... It doesn't have the story doesn't have a drive. There's not a lot of story to it. It doesn't have a drive because Gilbert doesn't have drive. But before we get into that, I want to get into this first. So today we're gonna have our first segment of What's Eating Gilbert Grape. We're gonna have a first segment of with apologies to Alice and Jenny. So that's right. We are doing our apologies today to John Cusack. Last episode, Grosse Pointe Blank, I had said he looked like he was in his late 30s and early 40s. Obviously, that's not true. I don't know what I was thinking. I think we were in the middle of a conversation. And a lot of people need to understand that don't do podcasts, and that other podcasters will understand, is that when you're in the heat of a discussion or talking or whatever, and even listening, you don't catch everything that you may say or your co-host might say, right?
Yeah.
It's one of these deals where you're in the heat of something, or you're thinking about how you want to respond to what the person is saying, and you end up missing something or saying something that you didn't quite mean. John Cusack, I was thinking of his baby face in Pretty in Pink, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking of what a normal, I guess, 20s and 30s person might look like, but yeah, he definitely didn't look like he was in his late 30s, early 40s, or anything like that.
Right.
Maybe mid to late 20s.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, our segments on this are going to be a lot more substance with the things that we retcon on this show. But honestly, I got this jingle and got it done, and I wanted to use it. So that's the reason
I know
that this is the first with apologies to Alice and Jenny. So I appreciate everybody sticking with us through that. The last time I remember seeing Johnny Depp with this hair color is in Alice in Wonderland, when he was the Mad Hatter. He had that weird reddish tint to his hair color, because it's almost like a peach color or a rusty brown.
Yeah.
His hair color in this movie, and that's how he was in the Mad Hatter. It was almost like a reddish
because this was still the days of him and Winona Ryder time, right?
Well, and we're going to get into that, but yeah, they had just broken up right before this.
So this is that time period. So I think it was, if you kind of see him, he kind of molds himself over, like who he dates at the time in a way. You know what I mean? Or where he's at.
So like her red hair in Edward Scissorhands is like his red hair in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It is the same color, so who knows, or maybe something.
Well, and then he was married to a French woman for a long time, and that's where he was real eccentric at that point,
Yeah.
So I think it has to do with the people he's dating at the time or whatever. And then Amber Heard, I think he shaved like the sides of his hair and grew it out long so it looked like Marilyn Manson's hair. It was really weird.
Yeah, he definitely is a lot different.
Put a bunch of eyeshadow around his eyes so that I think that's the Amber Heard day.
Yeah, he looks a lot different than he does now, but I mean, he's been through some stuff. And this is actually right after Benny and June. Benny and June came out in the same year, and that is one movie that I've been wanting to do because it is a favorite of mine when I was younger, and I haven't seen it in a few years, so it might not have aged as well. But What's Eating Gilbert Grape did, it's still one of these stories that, yes, you can tell that it's in a different time than we're in now. It's in the 90s and everything, but it still speaks today. It's still a strong story because, like we said, there's not much to it. It's a small town, and those still exist with all the absence of all the things of comfort we have nowadays with technologies and stuff.
Well, and now that I was thinking about it and we were talking about this, I actually remembered reading this book in high school. Now that I think about it.
So you did read this book?
I'm pretty sure I did. I just don't remember reading it.
You don't remember reading it, but you remember that it was read by some people?
No, I remember reading it. I just don't remember the book that well because, I mean, we're talking, 25 years or so, right now. And so I don't remember. I feel like I read it when I was younger, in high school or whatever.
Yeah. So this was obviously after he had gotten popular with some other things. I'll give you a little quiz question here. What was Johnny Depp's very first role?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Did he have anything before that?
Maybe no, probably not.
No, that on IMDb, the very first credit he has is for Nightmare on Elm Street. Was he in any other Nightmare on Elm Streets that you remember?
No, and no, they did a flashback. I think I want to say they did a flashback of him, but other than the flashbacks, I don't remember.
It was close. He did Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare in 1991. The part 6 with Roseanne and all that. He was the reporter guy, if you remember.
That's right.
It was like kind of a little cameo, and then like he was doing
Roseanne and Tom Arnold.
Yeah, was he a reporter or he was some kind of guy on TV that was doing something like a celebrity, or it could have been like your this is your brain on drugs type of thing.
Yeah.
And then like Freddy knocked him out.
Like in a
comedic, cartoonish way, and kind of knocked him out and said, "Oh!" And then Freddie came in and did his own thing. But it was like a quick little thing. It was kind of like a little reference. I don't know how they got Johnny Depp back for that because he had already done quite a few things to make him popular enough to where he didn't need to do that.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So I mean, this was all after What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He had already done the Nightmare on Elm Street series. He did that Crybaby movie. He had obviously done the 21 Jump Street that.
And that Crybaby that had what's her name? The talk show lady, right?
Is it Ricky Lake?
Yeah.
No, is it Ricky Lake? Yeah, it was Ricky Lake. Yeah. He'd already done that. He'd done 3 seasons. I believe it was 3 seasons of 21 Jump Street.
Yep.
He did Edward Scissorhands. He had done Benny and June, and a few others, but those are like kind of the main popular ones, right?
Yeah.
And then he did What's Eating Gilbert Grape. This movie, I've always loved this movie. And like we said, there's nothing fantastic about it, but it's more about the performances. Johnny Depp is a very stoic, calm, and laid-back performance, which is basically antithetical to anything he did or most of the things that he did in his career after that. Mm-hmm. He was always these wild, eccentric, colorful characters, and in this movie, he's very subdued, very quiet. So it's an off performance for him. Leonardo DiCaprio, I would go as far as to say this could be his best performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Even people on the set were saying that, even people to this day were saying, it was just, there were people on set, main actors, big time actors that actually thought he was mentally
Right. And some people that had watched this that didn't know it was Leonardo DiCaprio, like, man, they got this special needs kid. He did a very good job in this movie. Thought it was a real type of performance. And it's really raw. That's what makes it good. Like, he got a lot more talent as he went along and was able to kind of buff away the sharp edges around his talent and everything. But and make it more polished for Hollywood movies, I guess I would say. But I mean, it was very raw here, and I'm still blown away that he was 17 when he did this, and just the raw, being able to pull subtle nuances, because a lot of what he does is outrageous and loud and bombastic, but there are so many subtle nuances, the things that he's doing with his mouth, his eyes, his fingers. Even if he's in a background of a scene, and it's focused on somebody else, he's still in the background, in character, doing these little tiny things, the way he looks, and he's not all there when he's looking at somebody. He's not completely focused. He's drifted off. He's not all there in his head. And that the realization of all those being put together for this character, for somebody being 17 years old, I've seen child stars that have grown up to do great performances. I've never seen anything like this at this age with this amount of inexperience.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is I mean, he's been on TV since he was a little kid. I mean, he was what, in Mickey Mouse Club with Tobey Maguire or something.
He was friends with Tobey Maguire. I don't know if they were on Mickey Mouse Club. I know, like, Ryan Gosling, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, all those people were in the Mickey Mouse Club. I don't know if they were, though.
Jack Black,
was Jack Black in there too? I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, Jack Black. Because I know in our next movie we're doing True Romance, he had a small part in True Romance as an usher in the theater, and
but it got cut. Yeah.
So it's interesting because I knew we were doing that next. I'm like, wait, is this the Jack Black one or is it the next one, the Jack Black one? Because then you said that, and I'm like sitting there nodding, and I'm like, wait, that's not.
I was waiting for
He's not in the Mickey Mouse Club.
I was waiting. It feels like
seeing
he could have been,
scruffy Jack Black on, like, Barney or something like that.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like
who Selena Gomez was on.
Yeah. I don't know. It just with his performance, Leonardo DiCaprio's performance on this show.
Please don't do that the whole episode.
I'm going to. No, his performance was just outstanding. I mean, he's the best actor on the whole entire show. I mean,
he definitely steals a movie. This is his movie.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's not so much. It's kind of a lazy movie, and I don't know if I can't remember reading the books, but it's kind of a lazy type of movie. It just doesn't really seem like there's a lot of powerful emotion in the movie. I mean, there is, because what happens at the end and stuff like that. Right. And her going into the police station to get Arnie out, right. And that kind of thing. There's some powerful moments, but it's not like a really moving movie. It just kind of seemed like it was just going through the motions, and then bam, there it is. It's a really good story, but I kind of feel like they didn't really attempt to, I don't know, put some umph into it. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, and that goes to the point that I was saying at the beginning, is that there's not much to the story.
No.
It's more about the character and the circumstances that the characters find themselves in, because there's no clear linear thing. The only thing that I would say was a clear linear thing would be Arnie's birthday party that they're planning for the entire movie.
Yeah. Well, also I feel like the movie kind of it kind of portrays certain things, using Arnie's, climbing up the water tower. Like at the beginning, the movie, kind of find him. He just gets up the ladder a little bit. Maybe
I think there's a water tower on the cover of the book too, because it's like a main centerpiece of the quote unquote story. And
it goes about halfway up, and then later on in the movie, in the middle of the movie, he goes even further up to the stand. That's going around the top part, and then at the end of the movie, he's at the very top of that thing.
Right, so it's progressively getting higher and higher and higher.
And I felt like, because I hadn't seen this movie in so long, that I felt like this movie was like, I was like, yeah, I think he dies. I think he falls off the water tower. And then, because even my wife was asking me about that, does he fall off?
You'd forgotten. You're like, I know somebody dies at the end of this. I know somebody dies in that family, but I can't remember if it was Arnie or not.
Well, and I knew she dies too, but I was just like, with him, I was like, yeah, I think he passes. I think he dies, from the water tower. And then we get to the end of the movie, and I'm like, oh, hey, I guess he didn't die.
Match in the gas tank. Boom, boom, boom.
I mean, that's kind of not the best thing to have him sing when he's up there,
But I mean, that shows. Well, here's the thing about what we're talking about with no story. You can have a story, a movie, a TV show, a book that has no plot, and it's a terrible movie because there's no focus. Even if you have okay characters or good characters, it doesn't feel real because everything's outrageous, or something like that. This movie, it doesn't have kind of like a story. It does, but it's more just a bunch of situations, and the only thing that's set as far as plans of the future or that the story is driving towards is the birthday party. Yeah. But the characters and situations feel so real in this one that it's okay, that you're just experiencing a glimpse, a snapshot of what ends up being 1 year in this family's life, and not even 1 year because then it fast forwards. You're witnessing what's maybe a week or two in this family's life. So that's what I thought was interesting about this. My next major thought was in this movie was, what are John C. Reilly and Crispin Glover doing in this movie? I had completely forgot, or maybe just never even picked up on the fact that these two actors were in this movie, especially Crispin Glover.
Yeah, and I remember him from The Stand, the original Stand.
Crispin Glover wasn't in The Stand.
No, I'm thinking of who am I thinking of? I mean, with him is Back to the Future.
Who are you thinking? Which character did you thought he played?
The bad guy, the one that was
Randall Flagg.
No, he was.
The one that bombed the house.
Yeah.
Killed Nick Andros. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name, but his name in the story was Harold Lautner.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, he's from Back to the Future. I forgot about that. So,
but he's got such an enigmatic and eclectic personality, right? He was banned from the Letterman show from almost kicking him in the face. He's notorious, Crispin Glover is, in Hollywood for being an eccentric personality that has a hard time getting along with the powers that be or whatever in Hollywood, right? Yeah. But he even changed likeness laws in Hollywood. Did you know that?
Yes, I heard about that.
Because he was in the very first Back to the Future movie, right?
Yeah.
And but he didn't want to be in the other two.
Yeah.
But they said, okay, well, we still need the father. So I don't know if they were using like a stand-in or deleted clips or whatever. But they found a way to get his likeness into the movies, and Crispin Glover actually sued the studio,
which he should have,
for using his likeness and without his permission and everything. And that's the thing, is like look, studios, if you want this, you better lock somebody in for 3 movies, if you want to continue the story, or cut them out of the picture. But that then from then on changed likeness laws in Hollywood, where they weren't allowed to do that kind of stuff anymore. And it may be the reason why you got people signed on when they first sign on for a movie. They actually sign on for multiple, so that the studios have an option that if they want to make more, then that person is now contractually obligated to be in that movie.
A lot of Marvel movies are like that,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's just been their foresight in seeing that this is going to be a big, ever-expanding thing. But and John C. Reilly threw me off too.
Yeah,
I knew that there was a friend of Gilbert's and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't remember it was these two.
Yeah, and that's like his main friend too.
Yeah.
But you had some plethora of characters. You had because you had Johnny Depp. He was Gilbert Grape. Then you had Leonardo DiCaprio. He was Arnie Grape. We had Juliette Lewis as Becky, Mary Steenburgen as Betty Carver,
Mary
Steenburgen. Yeah, whatever. Darlene Cates.
Before we have another apology.
Yeah, right. Laura Harrington is Amy Grape, and then Mary Kate Schlellhardt as Ellen Grape.
Schlellhardt.
But
with all those people, this is, like I said, one of those rare times that Johnny Depp is the straight man in the movie and not the color. So, like, Orlando Bloom was the straight man in Pirates of the Caribbean, and Johnny Depp was the color.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of his roles have been, especially his more popular roles, is he's usually the color. He's never really like that laid back guy.
Well, that's why Tim Burton brings him in all his films, because he is that colorful type.
Right. Character. And maybe that's more so in the last 20 years he's done that, because, I mean, Blow, he was the main actor and kind of a straight man type in that and everything. But it's one of these rare movies where I think he was still trying to find his footing. He was still a great actor. It was in these days of him and Christian Slater and God, who's the guy in Stand By Me?
Jerry O'Connell?
No, well, I mean, he's in that, but no. I meant the
River Phoenix?
River Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah.
Duh, the Phoenix. But yeah, he, it's in the time of River Phoenix.
Wesley Crusher.
Wesley Crusher. But I mean, this is in time of those brooding leading men, Johnny Depp, Christian Slater.
Time of the Coreys.
Yeah, River Phoenix, all these people. Doing things like Heathers or Reality Bites or, different things like that coming out. So it's one of those issues, and he, like you said, he had just come off of dating, and not even dating, he was engaged to Winona Ryder. I think they had dated for 5 months, and he got that tattoo, and which now says Wino forever instead of Winona forever, because
it suits him.
You got to do what you can.
Yeah.
But it's he had just come off of that, and speaking to that, I assume that's probably a reason why he was kind of in a dark place during the filming of this, because Johnny Depp has said that he was kind of in a dark place when they were filming this movie, and it just happened to be right at the time that he had split up with Winona Ryder. And he said because of that, he bullied Leonardo DiCaprio a lot.
I know he did. I did read that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where he said it was a hard time for me for some reason. He says for some reason because he probably doesn't want to throw that on Winona Ryder's shoulders or whatever. But he said I don't know why I tortured him. And talked about how he was always talking about these video games and stuff, and he'd say stuff like, no, Leo, I won't give you a drag of my cigarette because your mom's not around. That type of thing. So, I mean, I think I don't know if he actually tortured him or if he just, refused to be that kind of older brother type of actor on set who was kind of helping him with the ropes that he knew of. But maybe he didn't feel like he had to be like that because DiCaprio had been acting since he was probably I think he was 5 or something that for a while. On Growing Pains, and I think the only thing that he really did before this was This Boy's Life.
Which ones? Which boys?
With Robert De Niro, and that's why
I'm still waiting on what boy you're talking about.
Leonardo DiCaprio,
okay.
This Boy.
Okay.
So I think it was still. That was really the only thing he had done. But I think this movie, because of his performance in this, is what really made people in Hollywood go, "Oh, this guy has got something extra," because
you're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, because you have your child stars, and a lot of the times child stars will naturally look like they pop and be very talented because you're not used to seeing kids being able to act that well.
Yeah.
So if you have a kid that can act, relatively well, you're going to be blown away. But Leonardo DiCaprio had something a little extra, something in his nuance of acting. It's in his body, it's in his eyes. It's not just how he says things and how he looks and moves around, but I mean it's what's behind his eyes. It's the way he inflects certain things. I think that's what really made him pop, and I think after that is when he started getting some really cool roles. You know what I mean? I think he did The Basketball Diaries after this. Eventually Titanic came.
And it wasn't till Titanic for him to really, really blow up. Those other movies are great movies and stuff, but it wasn't looked as him being a lead man until really, I feel like Titanic. The movies before, he wasn't really a lead man in those, but maybe The Basketball Diaries, stuff like that. But in Titanic, he was a lead man. The lead man in the film. So it was really kind of his breakout. I feel like Titanic was.
Yeah, Titanic was definitely his, one of his, I think it was his first movie because he had done TVs and different videos, but you know what his very first movie is? Critters 3. And still to this day, and I think we've actually talked about on the podcast, we were talking about somebody else, and we said something or I said something like, this is this person's Critters 3, just as much as Leonardo DiCaprio hates Critters 3. It's one of those spots in his life where I'm sure he'd wish everybody would forget about. But yeah, he also did The Quick and the Dead after this. Before her, I think his huge one obviously was Romeo plus Juliet.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what made it, okay, he's a leading man. Let's bring him into Titanic. He's a romantic male lead or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's bring him into Titanic and everything. Because, I mean, that was outrageous, and it probably got panned by critics and everything. But, I mean, it was a movie that was in the spotlight. It was edgy. It was new and all that. And that's kind of what made him take off after that, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. With this movie here, I thought, whether or not they annoyed each other, it was kind of like their roles on the movie. I mean, like Leonardo DiCaprio was annoying.
Looked up to Johnny Depp.
Yeah, looked up to him, but also was annoying him. Things like that in the
Just
movie
like
and in real life.
Arnie
So I kind of
looked up to him and was annoying him.
So I feel like it was kind of like normal.
Although
it just looked more natural.
I will say, and we'll get more into this, but I will say I don't think that Arnie really annoyed Gilbert. I would say that Gilbert or Arnie is the one thing that Gilbert feels takes serious in his responsibility. He has a bunch of different responsibilities. Arnie is the one thing that he takes serious because he's serious about it when people try to hit Arnie and different things like that. He doesn't like it. Otherwise he's affable about everything else. He doesn't care about anything else. But with Arnie, it's like, no, you don't touch him. You don't hit him.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff.
Except for when he hits him.
Right, and like I said, we'll get into. But I like the small time charm of this. Like whenever they're getting into argument at a table nowadays, what would happen in a movie or even in real life, people just get up and leave. But he actually is like, may I be excused? And he just sat there and like he was stuck in his table. He was not allowed to get up unless he got that excusal.
Yeah.
And you don't see that anymore. And
no,
it's one of those things that pops out at you that I felt the need to write down.
Onto the ceiling, onto the roof.
No, that was Arnie that went on the roof.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No, but it was Gilbert when he was like getting sick.
No, that's what I was
all
saying.
These people. May I be excused?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty interesting. It introduces that small town. I guess you would say charm. We would say charm. Maybe some other people wouldn't like that level of politeness, that level of manners. They would think, you shouldn't control anybody else. Everybody has individuality and. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking stuff.
No, I get you. I just think, with...
Hell, even one person said, do you know what canola oil is? I mean, apparently this was right when canola oil first came out or something. They were like, do you know what canola oil is? You can do anything with it.
No, I just don't feel like there was any really, like, epic lines or, in this film. Like there wasn't any epicness to it, where it's just
he had the Mel Gibson line, "Give me back my son."
Oh yeah,
but she's like, "I want my son. Give me my son." I think that was probably the most epic.
It was
line of the movie or whatever.
It was, but it's also you kind of think of it like, okay, she's trying to be epic about it, but. Are the cops even taking her seriously? I mean, yeah, that one man looked like he was pretty scared. They all
looked pretty scared, I think.
Yeah, but it's like, what caused them to have that fear? Probably because they're just not used to seeing her outside in public,
Yeah, that had to be it because, I mean, she used to be the sweetasheart of the town.
Yeah. And in real life, she was like that for like 5 years.
Yeah. So getting into Darlene Cates' performance in this, she wasn't an actress before this.
Yeah.
She was on, I believe, Oprah or
Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Sally Jesse Raphael, but who, as if people don't know, that was like an Ellen or something like that back then. One of these, or an Oprah, like one of these. Talk show host, but this actress, I guess you would say, Darlene Cates, she wasn't an actress when she was on there, but she was like on that show because they were talking about the topic of obesity and morbid obesity at the point where it's unhealthy, it's now killing you. And you're eating yourself to death and everything. I think at the highest point, she was over 500 pounds, just like we were talking about with Billy Bob. Thank you. Just like we were talking about with Billy Bob, like she was over 500 pounds. She has recently passed away. I believe it was 2015.
13, I think it was.
Was it 2013?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. But yeah, she was interesting because they obviously they needed this character, but nobody in Hollywood, the Hollywood casting pools, matched it.
Yeah.
because you don't typically have actors and actresses that are professionals in movies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Correction. I guess we could do it the next episode.
No, go ahead.
Okay. She passed away 4 years ago.
2017. Okay. So, well, yeah. Okay. So, they were talking about the subject of obesity on that talk show host, and that's when somebody in the production crew had seen that, and they're like, let's see if she can read lines, if she can act.
Yeah.
Because she would be perfect for this role. And so they talked to her, and like as soon as I guess she'd read a few lines, like they're like, yeah, this is her. She has at least the chops we need for this small but very important role.
Yeah.
And I say small, she's very much center to the story, the mama character, but there's not a lot of scenes with her. But the scenes that do have her in it, I mean, she's obviously the standout, and I don't mean that. I mean that she's a very good actress. Her words have meaning, they're dense, and I thought it was so moving, and I was blown away that this actor wasn't an actor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that she was able to pull out of her the yelling at the table when Arnie was losing his mind, the going to the police station doing what she did, and then the intimate moments that she would be talking with people, especially that last scene she had with Johnny Depp, where she goes, "I don't want to be a joke."
Yeah.
And he had come around at this point, but to be able to act the way she did and to have no experience in it just blew me away.
And she was one of the oldest cast members on the thing. I mean, she's born in 1947.
Wow.
So I mean, even Mary Steenburgen. Yeah, it was not even as old as she was.
Come on, man, Steenburgen.
Whatever. But and the Amy Grape, the oldest sister. Do you see how old she is?
No.
She's in her 60s now.
Really?
Oldest sister. She's born in 1958.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like they made her portray her to be like maybe 19, 20, 21, something like that. But I think she was like almost in her 40s at this point.
She didn't have many credits on, after this. I think she only acted until like 1999.
Yeah. But the oldest sister is actually a lot.
Her name was Laura Harrington, the one that played Amy. And if you know, there's another Laura Harrington, I believe. Isn't Mulholland Drive? Isn't there an actress named Laura Harrington in that movie?
Wouldn't it be funny if it was her? And you're like, isn't there an actress named?
I don't think so. It was. It had Naomi Watts in it. Let me see. Laura Herring.
No.
Close. I was close.
You were.
So Laura Herring and Laura Harrington. So there is a difference between the two if anybody makes a mistake like I did. But yeah, and the other daughter, what was the other daughter's name? Ellen?
Yeah.
Was she younger than Arnie?
Yes. Well,
I think she was younger than Arnie, wasn't she?
In real life, she is.
Well, I think she was.
No,
in the
they
show,
said she was 15.
Yeah, because Arnie was just turning 18. She was 15.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to make sure because it really creeped me out. I mean,
they talk about. I think who was it that narrated it? Was Juliette Lewis? No, she wasn't. It was Johnny Depp at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
they did the monologue or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he did.
Yeah, because he was saying, that's my brother Arnie, and he talked about how his older brother got away and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the younger daughter, Ellen Grape. So she was 15, but Crispin Glover's character, one of Johnny Depp's friends, was hitting on her. Do you remember that?
That's right.
And I was like, this is really good. Not only is it creepy because he was like a mortician in the movie or something like that.
Yeah.
But like he was so much older, and he was like hitting on this little, teenage girl. And I'm like, well, that goes with a lot of Crispin Glover's characters. Very creepy.
Yeah. We figure. Let's see. She is probably in night. What, the movie came out in 93, right? No, that's the next one we're doing.
We don't have to spend too much time on it, but I just thought that it's 1978 is when she was born.
That's right.
It was just really creepy at the time that that Crispin Glover's character, but appropriate.
Yeah.
Not that Crispin Glover is a creep like that in real life. I don't know of anything like that, but I mean, he plays those characters that are like, this is a weirdo creep, like Willard and different things like that. But so I think basically, I guess we can get the intro out of the way real quick. This is What's Eating Gilbert Grape. This movie came out in 1993. It was based off a book written by Peter Hedges, and then Peter Hedges also did the screenplay for this movie. So it's very true to the book. It's true to the original artist who came up with the story, the author. It's true to his vision, because he wrote the screenplay as well. So it's one of those things. I think it's good to get the author of a book if you're translating it to also do the script as well, so you have a good translation, at least of the spirit, even if you don't have anything in there.
Yeah.
It was directed by Lasse Hallström. Do you know this guy? Yeah. Do you know anything that he's done? He's done like the Cider House Rules, Chocolat. So these Academy Award winning films.
I mean, in Chocolat, it had Johnny Depp in that too.
Right.
And then, but Cider House Rules, man, I haven't seen that movie forever. I love that movie.
It's been a one. It's one of those ones of Tobey Maguire's that I really enjoy him in. Charlize Theron, I believe, is in it as well. But
it's very awkward because like those two do not look like they would be a pair whatsoever, no matter which way you look at it.
But honestly, anybody Charlize Theron is
true
with doesn't look, because she's like this perfect, this
Amazonian
glamorous, unreal beauty, right? Yeah. And if you've seen her nowadays, even like Once Upon a Time in the West, Seth MacFarlane's movie from a few years ago, I mean, this is another one of these Hollywood stars that never age. Yeah. Just like Keanu Reeves or Paul Rudd or something like that. Charlize Theron is up there too. But yeah, this director, he did What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I'd say that was like his first movie that was as big as it was. After that, like I said, he did the Cider House Rules, Chocolat. He did that Hachi movie about the dog that waited at the train station because the person died or whatever. A Dog's Purpose, remember, with the voice of what's that guy's name? He was in Pixels. I can't remember, but he played a dog, and every time the dog, you probably never watched it because this is what happens in it, but when the dog dies, it's reincarnated into another dog's body.
I heard about it. It actually looked like it was pretty good, but it's still sad.
It was good because he ended up being in another dog's body, but being owned by that same kid that used to own him much later in life and all that kind of. Anyways, he's done some pretty good movies that I've liked. Not a lot, but I mean, he's had enough a career where you can look at all his movies and say, there's a very good director that knows his vision, knows what he wants, and Academy at least nominated movies.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he's from Sweden.
Okay, Sweden.
From Sweden. Danke, finke, banke. I can do that because my wife's Sweden.
That doesn't work that way.
I don't think it works that way either. Ufta is what I have to say to our Swedish listeners. Ufta. So anyways, this came out in, as I said, 1993. It stars Johnny Depp as Gilbert Grape, Leonardo DiCaprio as Arnie Grape. It also stars Juliette Lewis, Mary Steenburgen, Darlene Cates, Laura Harrington, Kevin Tage, John C. Reilly, and Crispin Glover, among many others. So what would you say is Johnny Depp's mindset in this movie? Well, okay, Gilbert's. What would you say is his mindset when the movie first opens up?
He's kind of just like not really giving up on life, but just to the point where he's just like giving up. This is his life. He knows this is going to be his life till the day somebody else dies, and then this is what he's basically got to live for. I mean, he doesn't really show. The Gilbert Grape character doesn't really show a lot of emotion because his as far as he's concerned, the only thing in his world is that town and that house with his mother and his disabled brother, and having to juggle, be the man of the house. This is this is kind of a story about a kid at that age, you know what I mean? A guy at that age or whatever, I mean, practically still a kid almost.
So would you say a good adjective for him would be stuck?
Yeah, stuck or just kind of going with the motion type thing,
Yeah, right. And I would say that a good thing to go with stuck would be apathetic.
Yeah.
Just really not caring one way or the other what's going on because he's stuck and it's kind of like he's accepted that he's stuck.
Yeah.
And just is kind of going on with it. I've seen some reviews of this movie and I've listened to some things here and there, read some things, and the general consensus seems to be that he's stuck and wants to get out and wants to do more and all that. But I never got that sense from this movie. I got the sense that he's stuck and kind of resigned to his place in life. So he let go a long time ago before this movie opened. He let go of any kind of ambition, any kind of desires to get out, to go do anything.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just there. He's being responsible because he didn't go off and leave the family like his older brother did when he went to the military or whatever. He's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about his responsibility. He's not even really thinking about the family. But what I got from it was that I think, even the book describes Gilbert as restless and dreaming of leaving. But I never got that sense in the movie. I never got the sense of him dreaming of leaving. He's just kind of like, okay, well, this is where I am, and I have nothing good in my life, and so I'm just blah. I have no emotion about it. I have no good emotion. I have no bad emotion. It's just, this is what I am. But, the movie, it portrays him as, basically defeated and accepting. The one joy he has is that affair that he's having with the Mary Steenburgen character because it's wrong and it's exciting. It's the only excitement he can get in his life, and he's not expecting anything else. So that's like the only, the one joy or excitement that he has. But when
now I know you said the affair issue, right? Do you think that she killed her husband, or do you think he really just had a heart attack?
I think he had a heart attack.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think she had it in him. She really wanted to be with Johnny Depp, but she didn't strike me as a person that would do that.
Even when he passed away, her husband died, and she's saying basically she's leaving the town. She wanted him to come with her. She wanted still to be with him.
Probably.
What I mean? And she was jealous. She was jealous of Juliette Lewis's character because, she could tell that he wanted,
she was appropriate for
him. He wanted a relationship with her. Yeah.
Juliette Lewis was appropriate for him. A married, an older married mother of two. It's not a right fit for him.
Yeah.
No. Obviously.
Right.
But, I just think of it as, Juliette Lewis arrives, obviously, and shows him that the affair that he's having is trivial, in terms of being something that's exciting and dangerous, because it's only exciting and dangerous at this time. I think she reminds him, not that he needed to be reminded, but it's like a reminder that that kind of lights something that was so dormant before in himself, where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm stuck here. And it would be best in my interest to try to get out of this situation I'm in and try to go live my life.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily have to mean leaving that town, but finding something that drives me in life, something that's for me, something that I can have joy in. I think that's how I've always seen it, at least.
Yeah.
He's, like I said, but at the moment when the movie opens up, he's very dormant. You get the sense he's responsible because he's sticking behind, he's taking care of his family, right?
Yeah, because the mother depends on him. The mother, she freaks out when he's not around, and the rest of the family. He's the glue of the family. He really is. And he's
without wanting or trying to be.
Yeah, and he's the father figure. He's the man
without wanting or trying to be.
Yeah, but I mean. In that situation probably happens constantly in the world. That type of situation where you're in a small town, you're the man of your house, you have some brothers and sisters or whatever, and single mom, and it's you pretty much take on that role, and that's what he's done in this film. So
yeah, and I think he has something dark in him that obviously from his dad doing, his dad killed himself, hung himself in the basement a few years ago. That's what made the mother start eating uncontrollably and not wanting to go out anymore. She dealt with depression because of that. So all these things that happened, his mom going the way she did, his dad dying, his brother leaving, his other brother being a constant task, a constant chore for everybody. I think it creates this darkness in Gilbert that he doesn't even know, because he wants to be apathetic. He is apathetic, but he has little glimpses of this darkness that comes out in him whenever these kids are trying to look through the window so they can see the giant overweight mother. Yeah. He actually helps them up so they can see it, and it takes John C. Reilly's character, his friend, come up and say, "What are you doing, man? That's your mother.
Yeah,
have some respect." And he goes, "But he doesn't see. He's not ashamed of his mother.
No."
She's now been a burden to where he can't do anything in his life, but it's something that he's accepted. And it's not so much he's ashamed of her, but he just doesn't see it as a big deal, and it's maybe a little bit of that darkness doing that, because it's not just that, it's also at the dinner table he lets Arnie go off and actually kind of encourages Arnie to go off and have these dad's dead, all this kind of stuff. And it stresses his mom out, and you can see Johnny Depp Gilbert looking back between Arnie and his mom, knowing that it's about to set her off, and he kind of doesn't really have a smirk, but he kind of has a smirk behind his eyes.
I think it's more or less
it stresses her out.
No, I think a lot more of it. I don't think it's so much the darkness in him. I think he's trying to allows Arnie to act a certain way and talk to his mother, or talk, and basically, rub the mother the wrong way. And I think he allows that to happen on purpose, in a way that he's just trying to maybe see if his mom will ever open her eyes about the situations that they're in. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he allows it to happen because he's like looking at it like, look, this is not my kid. This is not my son. This is not my child. This is just my little brother, that I have to be fully responsible for, because my mother cannot do it, because she cannot even get herself out of bed, basically.
I disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, he's very. I got the sense he was very apathetic towards it. He didn't have a big change. He talked about it, and he said awful things, like when he told Juliet, that Lewis, they're looking at the house. He's like, it looks so small from here. Especially when you imagine the girth I think he said the girth that's inside, talking about his mom. And when she asked, like, what is mom about? And he said something like, have you ever seen a beached whale? Yeah. These awful things that he says, but it's not like he kind of says it just jokingly off comment and stuff, because he doesn't see it as like really an insult. I don't think he holds anything against her, especially with Arnie, because he's very defensive of Arnie. So is the mother, but he's very defensive of Arnie too. Like, it's the one thing that he's not really affable about, to the point where Arnie's about to crawl up the water tower again, and his sister actually pushes him down to make sure he doesn't crawl up there. I would agree with what the sister did, the younger sister. Yeah, she hurt him, but it's better than him trying to climb up the water tower and falling off and dying and stuff. Yeah, she pushes, but he comes up behind. He's like, no, you don't touch him. And he told a couple people, when it comes to Arnie and stuff, you don't touch Arnie. You don't touch him. He felt very defensive. But then in his most emotional state that Gilbert gets in, he slaps Arnie around, lets that darkness out that I was talking about that's creeping up. It finally comes out, and he goes off on the one person that he's really cares about protecting. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, and I can see where you get that from. Like I said, I think it's just that he's kind of he's very passive aggressive with the way he does things. And
who, Arnie or Gilbert?
Gilbert.
Yeah,
he's very passive aggressive, and I feel like he's accepting of his situation, but he's also upset with her that he has to take on that role, and that kind of feels like he kind of blames his mother for the way that they're at, the situation they're at, you know what I mean, for the having to, because she's overweight, she can't take care of Arnie, which is technically her job up until he's of age and or whatnot.
Yeah,
but
I just see that as he has a sense of duty to Arnie, and so by extension he then tolerates the rest of the family.
And like I said, I see that, but again, I see it the other way, in my opinion, you know, and I just feel like it's, he's very protective, but at the same time, he lashes out passive aggressively.
Well, listeners, it's up to you to decide which one of us is right. Please write us in at our email or any of our social medias to let us know who you agree with as far as Gilbert's motivations and how he reacts to people and everything.
So Juliette Lewis in this, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't think she was the worst character
like
in the show, in the whole entire movie. I thought she was just kind of like blah. I mean, and the thing is I think the reason I say that is because this is like one of the only movies that she's done where she's very normal. You know, like she doesn't have a little craziness to her. You know what I mean?
The last thing I've seen
Natural Born Killer.
Well, there is that, but I mean, the last thing I've seen Juliette Lewis do. The most recent thing is My Name is Earl.
Oh yeah,
when she was Earl's ex-girlfriend, and she was a crazy bounty hunter who did all this training and stuff, and she still got her butt kicked by Jamie Presley. Jamie Presley was so scared during the whole episode, and finally they fought, and Jamie Presley just kicked her butt again. It was so awesome.
That was a great scene. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, look at her in Natural Born Killers. I mean, she is a nutcase.
And did you know that, speaking of our next movie, that Quentin Tarantino, when he was thinking about directing True Romance, he wanted Juliette Lewis to play the Alabama character.
Yeah.
So I mean that's certain. Yeah, and it has connections to Natural Born Killers as well. But my thing with Juliette Lewis is she's very reactionary, where she's just kind of walking around the whole time, where she's reacting to situations and characters. She's looking at what's going on with Arnie and Gilbert. She's looking what's going on with Gilbert and Mary Steenburgen. You know,
have you noticed she only
affair.
has one facial look? Like, she only has one look that her face does. Like, it's always a constant, like, I'm in so much pain right now. I'm in so much pain. It doesn't matter if she's doing a funny role or whatever. There's no emotion in that woman's face.
Maybe it maybe just want to be one of these things that I think that, you know, something about her rubs you the wrong way, so maybe you see it that way. I think, you know, she was a lot more happy and smiley in this movie than roles that you're used to. Like, even in Christmas Vacation, she was just like, had this bad attitude, but like nothing really got her down in this movie, right?
Right.
You know, the problems with Gilbert, it's not a big thing. It's just no big deal.
Taking in Arnie, you know,
and like, didn't he do something happened to her bike or something? I can't remember. He did something. She was like, it's just a thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and so it becomes one of those things where maybe that's what Gilbert needs. He doesn't need somebody always going, Gilbert, whether it's the affair that he's having. She's always calling him, Gilbert, I need this, or what about this?
Yeah.
You know, it's the mother, Gilbert, have you done this? His sisters, where's Arnie, Gilbert? You know, it's one of these things where she's not so reactionary. She's just kind of very like him, just kind of like, just letting things go by, and it'll be all right. You know,
I'm just not a fan of her in this movie. I think they could have, you know, went in any other direction with that female lead. You know, I mean, and it really, you know, to be honest with you, her role wasn't very important in the movie. You know, I mean, it was.
I disagree.
It was a little bit of a wake up call for Johnny Depp's character, for Gilbert. You know, it was a bit of a wake up call to, you know, let him know that there are other things outside of that town. Okay, I'll give you that. But other than that, I just don't see her as being really. I don't know. She gets mad at him, and then she's totally fine with him one minute and pissed off the next minute, and fine again.
The times I've watched this, I would agree with you before. I sat down to analyze this movie for this show, and I saw it a completely different way. So if you're thinking about it, I think if you sit down to try to see more or get more out of something, maybe you see things differently. I saw this as you know, Gilbert and his mom finally patched things up before she died, right? But he had always held this resentment, and he never told her, who cares what anybody else thinks? You know, you're not a joke. You know, we don't care about what all those people in the town think. You know,
and most of them in the family, you know, they weren't embarrassed of her.
No, and they never said, "Hey, let's exercise. You got to stop being who you are."
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "This is how you are," you know. And it was the mother that decided to make the change in trying to walk up the stairs and things like that when he had patched things up with Gilbert and you know, whatever it may be. You know, but the way I saw it is that the Juliette Lewis character, she changed Gilbert's entire thinking. So I think she was very important because she showed him that this place, because remember they had talked about in the movie, like, she, you know, where have you been? She's like, I've been everywhere. Yeah. Like, literally, and the mom of Juliette Lewis is like, yeah, she's pretty much traveled everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So she had been everywhere, and she told Johnny Depp, Gilbert, she's like, this place is like any other. She's like, it's not about the place. You know, I think she showed him it's not about the place. Yeah, you feel like you're stuck here, but it's about the people and what you care about that makes a difference. It's not about where you go or your status or whatever. She said, this place is like any other. I've been everywhere. This place, you know, her experience elsewhere combined with her attitude about, like, not mattering where you are. That's what I think changes Gilbert. It's about the people and your own attitude, not just a place or what you're missing elsewhere. Like when he's a stock boy, and I'm sure he wants to go work at that other place, but he works here out of guilt. His father probably worked there because they had mentioned, that owner of that store is like, yeah, when you say that, it makes me think I'm talking to your father, stuff like that. So maybe his father was ingrained into the town or whatever. But, she, I think, is the one that makes him realize that, you can't sit there and feel sorry for yourself or just give up on life because of where you are. It's about the experiences you make and your attitude about it. And that's when, after that happens, and him doing what he did with Arnie and everything, that's when he went back and realized, I love my family. I've always loved my family. And I can't be as worried about what I'm missing elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I have this.
I kind of feel like because, at the end of the movie, he might, him and Arnie are getting in with the RV, and they're going to go trekking. But it doesn't really like...
Trekking.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have it's a year later, we see a year later, and they don't have a lot of luggage to carry with them. So to me, it doesn't seem like they might be going for a long trip, maybe just for a short one.
I think what it was is Gilbert wanted to leave all the furniture they pulled out of the house because they probably sold the land.
Yeah.
And then let his sisters have all those things because him and Arnie didn't need much. They could now travel wherever they want because he didn't need to keep Arnie around his mom. Yeah. And he still took on. He didn't say to the sisters, "You keep Arnie. I'm moving on." Yeah. He took Arnie with him because so that's what reinforces for me the fact that the one thing in his life that he actually feels responsible for, and not just something that he was wedged into, was Arnie, and he takes him with him, and now they don't have anything.
Well, and Gilbert's the only one that Arnie listens to,
To a point, yeah.
When push comes to shove.
And he has little tricks like the match in the gas tank, boom, boom.
Yeah, yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio's face during that, and I can't get over his performance in this movie. How heartbreaking was it whenever he woke up and he went to the bathroom, you saw that Arnie was still in the bathtub.
Oh, that was crazy.
It's one of those shocking moments of movies.
Yeah, because because he fell asleep and he just told him to stay there until he came back for him basically.
No, he said you know how to do all this. You wash yourself and then you dry yourself off and you get dressed. And of course he's like, I'm a big boy, a big boy. And he's like, I'm gonna do it, Gilbert. And Gilbert's like, obviously Gilbert knows that Arnie's not capable of understanding, a minute from now, consequences or what he needs to do. So he can't function like that.
Yeah.
Gilbert knows that.
Yeah.
He's dealt with Arnie his whole life, but this whole Juliette Lewis character's coming into town.
Yeah.
It's messing with his head and his way of life.
Yeah. It's exhausting. I mean, now, what would you say with this movie? Do you feel like the whole thing entirely was good? Like, meaning, like, do you think the actor's performance was good? Do you think the where they transferred it from the book, and made a screenplay out of it, was that good, or just the story in general? Or a combination of all three?
I don't think I would change anything. I think the characters are great. I think the cinematography is fantastic. These sunsets that they've filmed and the way that they filmed the house on fire at night, that blew me away. It's one of those, like, it's not like a cinematic setup thing. That looked like a real roaring fire, and it looked raw, that shot. Yeah. So the cinematography is great. The casting was amazing. Could you have replaced Johnny Depp? Maybe. But he had that star power, and you had the other people doing the color in that movie, like the Darlene Cates and Leonardo DiCaprio.
I don't think you could have replaced Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nope. With not with any child star that I could think of at that time, even a young adult, late teens. Yeah. I don't know if they could have done. Make no bones about it. Leonardo DiCaprio is an A+ top tier actor.
Well, he just won an Academy Award, like 2 years ago, right?
Well, it was a few years ago for The Revenant. But, he is one of these A-list top tier stars up there with Daniel Day-Lewis, Pacino, all these actors that, Marlon Brando, the ones that will always go down in history as the best actors of all time. He's a very method actor.
Yeah. Well, he's been doing it for so long,
Right. But you have a lot of people that have been doing it for a long time, and they may just not catch on to it like he does. But the fact that he has to completely turn his psyche or dive his psyche into this character and live it.
Well, he said he spent some time at a home for people like, kids mentally challenged.
I know he watched like videos and did a lot of research on it.
Yeah, and he said that a lot of his was a lot more exaggeration than normal. He said that you go to these houses and these homes that hold the mentally challenged people, and they're not nuts, and how a lot of movies portray them as just pulling their hair out kind of situation. They're normal people. They just have a few screws loose. You know what I mean? And so I feel like he did an amazing job, and it was over exaggerated, but it fit right into it. Other than that, I feel like the story was better than the movie, if that makes sense. If you know what I'm saying by that, like meaning that in a way, besides Leonardo DiCaprio's acting in this movie, really, I feel like you could have really had anybody and told the same kind of story. It didn't drive me, you know what I mean? Like the acting, it didn't blow me away. But again, besides Leonardo, but it just really didn't. It wasn't one of those things where this movie was just phenomenal. I would say, hey, the story's phenomenal, but the movie just didn't. It wasn't really something that I was just like, wow, this is outstanding. I don't think the book could even be better than this. I just kind of feel like I bet the book's probably better than the movie.
I think it's.
We say I think a lot.
I do it's an opinion show, right?
Right.
So okay, so the way it does this is beautiful, I think, because. Yeah, I can understand you say, oh, well, you could have replaced this person, that person. It didn't eat at you and everything. It didn't eat at you.
Yeah.
What's eating at you?
Yeah.
So, certain people didn't pop. The sisters weren't especially standouts or anything. A lot of, usual conversations and everything. But when they do stand out, it means something to Gilbert. He's the centerpiece of this movie, Gilbert is. Even though Leonardo DiCaprio steals the movie, and he's meant to because he's that outrageous character, Gilbert's still the lead and the main part of this story. So the story is, what is Eating Gilbert Grape? Yeah. Well, it's Arnie.
Yeah.
It's his mother.
Yeah.
It's the town, and it's now Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
Because now she's starting to throw off his whole thing and causing him to question it. So that's what's eating. And those are the standouts, right? Darlene Cates is a standout actress.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio is a standout actor. Juliette Lewis spends a lot of time on her character, and it spends a lot of time on showing us what a small town this is, small town problems, and how it's irritating Gilbert.
Yeah.
So I think, and everything else is kind of to the wayside. The sisters aren't really standout, but whenever she pushes Arnie and it starts, then that matters. Then she matters to Gilbert. Then she's one of his focuses because he's like, you don't hit him and everything. And so I think it's when it matters to Gilbert, that's when things shine through, because you're trying to look at this all through the lull and the just colorless, lifeless view that Gilbert has of the life, the people, the town, all that kind of stuff. So I think it does good in that. But I get what you mean as far as you have a couple people that are replaceable. It's a story that could maybe be told any place or whatever.
I'm not saying. And here's the thing: it was a good movie. Was it great? No, I don't think so. And this is again my opinion. It was a good movie. It wasn't a great movie. It wasn't out. I mean, okay, let's update.
It wasn't Johnny Depp's best role.
No, and it was probably Leo's.
Probably his best role.
But none of the other actors. It was just like, But it just okay. I'm gonna upgrade it from good to great. It was a great movie, but it wasn't outstanding where I was like, holy cow, this is in my top 10.
It wasn't, for you, it wasn't a top tier movie where it's like, this is a movie that you have to see before you die.
Right.
Great experience.
Exactly. But the story was amazing. The story was up there with
story or lack of story.
Yeah. It just the tale that it was telling.
Right.
That it just was really good tale.
A slice of life that you get to enjoy for an hour and a half, or not enjoy.
It's really just a tale about a bunch of people that could do something but don't.
Right.
That they get into their comfort zone and don't ever want to leave. That's what it's about.
Is that why you think he didn't leave like his brother? Do you think that he had a sense of duty to Arnie? And that's why he didn't leave?
Oh,
or do you think he had a sense of duty to his whole family? And that's
to his whole family, because that's the thing. If it was just him and Arnie, he could probably pull Arnie off. Granted, the mother
He would not
was a
want to
big
be
thing.
away from his mother.
Right. But if it was just him and Arnie, he could pull Arnie off, and him and them
And that's
to
what
live
he
their
did at
lives.
the
And
end.
that's what he did.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It would take so much pressure off the rest of the family. So if he was doing it for the entire family, then more so than Arnie. So that's why I want to kind of canter my thing that it was mainly because of Arnie. Because you take Arnie out of the picture, he's gone. He's out of the town. He's moving on, probably finding something to live.
Yeah.
But
that's why I say I think it's his duty to Arnie, and then by extension, feels he has a duty to his family.
Right.
Because Arnie wouldn't be able to be away from his mother, and his mother wouldn't let Gilbert take him away from him.
Yeah.
Especially when Gilbert's so irresponsible with Arnie sometimes.
Well, and then at the same time, Arnie probably would have been dead by then if Johnny Depp would have.
So let's get back to your original question at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Why in the hell did they not put a barbed wire security?
Yeah.
I know that it's like you shouldn't have to do that for one kid and everything, but if Arnie's getting in there, other kids could get in
absolutely
there too.
And they see him doing it, they're like, oh, he did it, well,
And he
we
gets
can
all
do
this
it.
attention and all this kind of stuff.
And then they're like,
why are they not making that place more secure?
They're like, oh, you have to watch your special child, you're gonna have to watch him. We don't want to have to do these barriers and then have the police come out and waste time, watching him.
But they're
go up
right.
the water
I mean,
tower.
it's on to them. If you can't, then you need to put Arnie in a place that can take care of all his needs.
Right. But in that little town, they don't have places
exactly.
like that.
So
they
they're kind of
just
stuck.
They're kind of like.
And that's why they kind of let it go,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of put up with it. But then they finally get to the point where, like, look, this is too much.
They take him to jail, and But it's it's the whole thing with that too is they should have put some kind of barriers. I mean, it doesn't matter if Arnie's going up there or not. They should have safety. Because you go to the back of these like fast food restaurants, they have the ladder up to the roof or whatever, but it's changed up. There's a cage around the ladder or around the stairs to climb up,
and then there's like a trap door that's padlocked shut.
And I guarantee you, on most water towers,
they could have
it's
put
like
a little padlock thing on there. Now, can you still climb? Maybe I mean, that's another part of this frustration. You would want to say, well, he acts like a toddler. Okay, he should be easy to keep track of a toddler.
Yeah.
But you think of a toddler, and you have some people. Oh, my kid was fine. Okay, but generally, when you look at toddlers, they're nightmares.
Yeah.
You have your terrible two. There's a reason why there's terms like terrible twos, terrible threes, terrible fours,
terrible
and all that.
Eights, terrible nines.
Yeah, terrible. How old are our kids? Terrible, whatever their ages are. So. It's one of these. No, my kids are amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. My kids really are amazing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, imagine having a toddler, but having them be in an 18-year-old body where you can't control them sometimes.
No.
When you try to wrestle them by force them to do something, it's hard. That's a hard thing to do. I mean, Gilbert couldn't even, after he had left Arnie in the bath all night, then Arnie had developed aquaphobia after that.
Yeah.
He couldn't get Arnie in the bath, and he ended up having to slap him around a bit, which that has to be, I think that's the best scene, or at least my favorite, because it finally shows Gilbert, antithetical to everything that we've seen him. We've finally seen everything come to a head. Not only that, but Leonardo DiCaprio's performance when he gets hit. Well, first, whenever he's kind of playing around and then he sees Gilbert serious about getting in there and he's starting to get angry, then he starts like worrying, no, I don't want to, Gilbert, and then he gets slapped a couple of 3 times and drops to the ground. He doesn't immediately grab his face or start crying like any other normal actor would probably make the choice to do.
Yeah.
He kind of has like as he hits the ground, he kind of has a little chuckle, but it kind of looks like he doesn't know what just happened. And, because he is the way he is mentally, it takes him a second to figure out how he's supposed to react to that. And where he's like, he kind of looks off like, what just happened? And
Johnny Depp,
then he goes into the crying and, oh, now I'm upset. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio and probably the director had enough mind to throw in little things like that, that's what blows me away. And that's what blows me away about Leo's performance in this.
And also, he didn't hit him that hard. If he hit him hard, he would have.
Well, they were just like smacks. But
yeah, they were smacks. But
he's
what
still
I'm saying,
a kid.
Yeah, if he would have hit him real hard, he probably would have been down.
But he may have reacted the same way. But yeah, he definitely would have knocked him out or something like that. But you think that Arnie looks like a tough kid. Because he's always dirty, he's always climbing things, he's always getting hurt and all that. killing crickets. I heard that
he really did kill
they actually got in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you can look, and obviously it's a live cricket, and obviously he really killed that cricket.
But he said it was on accident, like that they were supposed to be there to watch, make sure that nothing happened to that cricket. I mean, come on.
Everybody's freaking out about a cricket. I don't care. I'm all about protecting animals,
kind of wondering
but if they're killing a cricket for a movie, I really don't care.
I wonder if they name them these crickets.
I don't know, but it's like I get watching out for animals in movies and how they're treated and stuff. I'm sorry, but insects don't apply to that. To me, flame me all you want. I don't believe in protection of insects just for a movie.
And birds.
Oh yeah, we won't talk about birds. If anybody doesn't know, I would not do well in Alfred Hitchcock's movie The Birds. Because you know what? That's for the birds.
Or Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers doesn't freak me out.
He's like a big bird.
He's like more of a bat.
Too.
He's got bat wings.
Yeah, that wouldn't freak you out,
but
though?
No, because Batman doesn't freak me out. That has
but
bats
Batman
in it.
doesn't have real bat wings.
And Birdman didn't freak me out.
Yeah, but see, Jeepers Creepers, he's got real bird bat
Look,
wings.
I was attacked by birds. Okay, this is my excuse. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so I enjoy this movie. I would even recommend people go out and, if you're looking for something to watch, don't go out and buy it on Amazon or whatever. If you're looking for something to watch, I'd watch it. I'd even rent it. I'd even suggest that you rent it because if you've never seen it, and you look at Leonardo DiCaprio, we don't have. Maybe we have stars nowadays that are like that because they don't have a real childhood and they're being trained from a youngster just to do nothing but acting. And that's kind of what happened with Leonardo DiCaprio. But I still say you don't see a performance like him at his age, like this, ever. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before this movie came out. And if I'm wrong, please let us know. Please let me know. Let us know if any performances you know of or you remember, because maybe we're just not remembering. Of somebody at this age, and I believe he was 17 at this age, giving a performance that's this convincing, that's this outstanding.
Well, he did really good in Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, I love Catch Me If You Can, but I mean, he's not playing somebody that's really hard to play with nuances. But I mean, every role he does. I mean, I think he should have gotten an Oscar for maybe Catch Me If You Can. I think he should have gotten an Oscar for like Departed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably my favorite. Even though I think this one is the best that he's done, my favorite of Leonardo DiCaprio's is The Departed. He is so well. We'll get into that maybe at a different episode. But to speak on that. I have a list of some of the awards that this movie is associated with. For the Academy Awards in 1994, Leonardo DiCaprio was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. He lost to Tommy Lee Jones for The Fugitive. Now, that being said, Tommy Lee Jones, absolutely amazing in The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Especially the line, I want every guardhouse, outhouse here, that whole spiel he did. And it has...
Abed does it so well.
Yeah, Abed does it really well. And good old Art Mullen from Justified, he was in there as a state trooper or something like that, working next to these marshals, which is pretty funny.
Harrison Ford was in that movie.
And Harrison Ford did an amazing job, too. But as far as Best Actor in a Supporting Role...
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones did amazing. Yeah. I still think that Leonardo DiCaprio should have won for this award. And I think that the only reason he didn't is because he was newish. Like, he had been around for a while, but this was his first attempt.
Yeah.
And it took until The Revenant, which was 2017 or something like that. It took that long for them to give Leonardo DiCaprio, out of all the roles that he did. Too? In The Revenant?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it had Tom Hardy. Some other people, but I get blown away when it took. This movie came out in '93, and he was doing that amazing of a job in '93, and it was 22 years later he finally got an Oscar, because he got an Oscar in 2015. 20 years later he got an Oscar, and he deserved it. 22 years prior or whatever. Anyways, some of the other awards, Darlene Cates was up for, let's see, let me go through this. Golden Globes, he got a nomination for supporting actor on the Golden Globes as well. Leonardo DiCaprio did. Leonardo DiCaprio and Darlene Cates won the Felix Award for Best Supporting, or was the Felix winner for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. Let's see, Award Circuit Community Awards. She was Darlene Cates was a nominee for Best Actress Supporting Role. Let's see, Leonardo DiCaprio was nominated for ACCA Award for Supporting Role. Chicago Film Critics Association Award. He won the award for Most Promising Actor. Yeah. He won the New Generation Award from the Los Angeles Film Critic Association. National Board of Review, he won the NBR Award. And he was a nominee for National Society of Critics Award. So, but I mean, you see, like, critics were even giving him an award for Best Upcoming Artist and everything. So, I mean, they even recognize, look at the talent behind this person. He's spilling out with potential.
Yeah, yeah.
22 years later, he wins an Oscar.
Oh, well.
Anyways.
Hey, he got it,
He got it. He deserves a lot more, but I'm glad that he was finally recognized. I remember for years there, people were talking about, justice for Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, give this man an Oscar for God's sakes.
For something.
For anything.
Yeah.
Take a pick out of any of the last 10, 15 years that he's done. Guaranteed, it's a phenomenal performance.
Exactly.
Guaranteed. Even in Django Unchained.
Yeah. That
awesome. Dude started bleeding during a scene. It was kept in the It was kept in the scene because he kept going with it and he used it in the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Anyways, so did you enjoy this movie as much as you used to this time?
No, not really.
What's your favorite part? Or least favorite part, I guess. Least favorite part is Juliette Lewis, huh?
Yeah, basically least favorite part. Probably my most favorite is, pretty much anything Leonardo was in.
Yeah.
So,
I got you. Yeah, I think my favorite scene was that scene in the bathroom when Gilbert lost his crap and went off on Arnie.
Yeah.
Do you think they made the right decision in burning the house down?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just... Would you have made the same decision?
If I went through his life, maybe.
And wouldn't want your mom to be... Because what people would have said. I mean, not only that she's being pulled out with a crane and all this kind of stuff, but... knowing that there would have to be autopsies and that people would be making fun of her in the autopsy room, just like they did everywhere else. People are taking pictures when she's coming out of the police station. I would have smashed that camera.
For real.
Honestly, I would have ripped it away and smashed it and said, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah. Exactly.
What is wrong with you people? Anyways, we really I enjoyed this movie. Apparently, Drew did not enjoy it as much as maybe he once did.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he enjoyed our next movie that we're going to be talking about for next time a little bit more. But I definitely recommend giving this movie a watch. I believe it's on. Is it
Hulu? I think.
Is it on Hulu?
Yeah.
Okay. You might be able to find it, but even if you can just rent it. Watch this movie to see a performance from a non-actor give her best and give an amazing performance. Watch this movie for a young Leonardo DiCaprio who should have won an award at this age and waited 22 years to get his award. Watch this movie for a subdued Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Different things like that. And watch this movie for a great story that you may get something out of life and realize that it's not all about getting away all the time. It's about enjoying what you have in front of you, appreciating what you have in front of you, and opening yourself up to watching for what's coming that could change your life.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you guys want to get a hold of us, we're at all our social media at The Post Credit Podcast. Our email is, except for Twitter, we're at The Post Credit. Our email is thepostcreditpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website. It's www.thepostcreditpodcast.com. We're also on YouTube, so check us out there. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.
And throw me a bone.